this topic, we're gonna cover daisy chaining. Now, daisy chaining is when you utilize a controller to connect multiple units to it. That's a feature you can do with our units. But daisy chaining has a specific or unique situation in which you would do it. I wouldn't specifically apply daisy chaining to every situation. For example, if we take an agricultural situation and you have a peak load of, let's say, 100 gallons a day, but a minimum load of 25 gallons a day. And we approach this from the redundancy standpoint. So in that situation, you got 100 gallons a day, 225 covers 28 gallons a day. So you have 4 225s in this agricultural setup. You definitely want to set yourself up so that you have a staging approach, right? So if you're at a min 25, you have 1 225 on that at that point, and then once you hit your peak, you've got all 4 225s utilized. So that's that staging aspect. If you were to use a daisy chaining approach with that, 4 units all to one controller, you would get 100 gallons of dehumidification per day, even at your minimum rate. And that wouldn't be so beneficial because you may experience high and low swings. But you could daisy chain groups or banks of dehus together for a staging effect. Say if you have a room of 6 dehumidifiers and you want to put a group of 2, you have got 3 groups of 2 with 3 controllers, you could do that. You would still have redundancy, you would still have staging effect and modulation. So that's a great way to approach daisy chaining. Or if you have a static, unchanging environment, let's go back to that 4 225 example earlier. You can daisy chain all 4 225s if you have a constant rate. Again, let's go use agriculture again, of 100 gallon per day load. You can use that daisy chaining to have all 4 units act as one large dehumidifier. But in a sense, what you're accomplishing with the 4 dehumidifiers that you couldn't with 1 is have a very zone-centric approach to dehumidification versus having just one dehu in the center of your garden or wherever that may be. Daisy chaining does have specific applications. You got to know when and how and where to apply it. And there could be good and bad, but if it's applied right, again, it's a great thing. So when it's properly applied. And it's definitely doable with our units. We're going to show you here in a little bit on how to daisy chain. Okay, so now we're going to daisy chain. And as we've said previously about the wiring, what you'll need is thermostat wire, 22 to 18 gauge, solid core preferably. And you also need a small screwdriver in order to wire everything in. In this example, we're using the Trollmaster HS1. This could also be the same if you're using the previous controllers, something like the Humidity Pro or our DH3000R. Daisy chaining is a little different than when you connect the first the controller to the first dehumidifier. There is a difference. So the wiring isn't the same from the controller to the first dehumidifier. The wiring is different from the first dehumidifier to the second dehumidifier, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do here is we're going to back on the first dehumidifier. So this represents our first dehu. It's attached to the HS1 module or the HydroX controller. What's going to happen here is they're going to share the same first contact here. And that's dehu, so we're going to use the same color scheme, white on dehu. It's a little trickier because we've got more wire in there now. Tighten that down. And then instead of running like we did here, instead of running from dehu to dehu or comp to dehu, right, and then 24 to 24, the daisy chain wiring is going to go from dehu from one terminal block to dehu to the other terminal block, and 24 VAC common to 24 V common on the other terminal block. We've got the controller going to the DHU, and now we have additional wiring leaving this terminal block going to the next DHU. So we have wired up here in the daisy chain wiring procedure. We have the white wire, which is on the DHU contact, and the red wire is on the 24V common contact, not the 24V VAC contact. That is for use, again, coming off the controller going to the first DHU. So we're slightly different going from first dehumidifier to second dehumidifier to so on and so forth. So what we need to do now is we need to take white wire, which is our DHU wire, and insert that into the DHU contact here. Tighten it down. Now you want to take your common, your 24 comm, also insert that into that contact, tighten it down. And again, push the wires aside so they're going through our notch here. We don't want to get them pinched when we insert the terminal block back into the DHU. And that's what it would look like with a simple 2-wire configuration if it's coming off of a Trollmaster. In many configurations, we're going to see this too, even more complex if a controller is going to, let's say, a 3000R or a Humidipro. This simple 2-wire daisy chain is all you really need coming off, going from the first dehumidifier to the second dehumidifier to the third dehumidifier and so on and so forth. We're just showing here the connection between 2 dehumidifiers. There could be a third one here, a fourth one here, same wire configuration, right? Same connection, that DHU to the next dehumidifier's contact, DHU contact to the next dehumidifier's DHU contact, and then the second wire, 24V common from the first DHU to the second DHU to the third DHU and so on and so forth.